Thank you for tuning into the Property Show. I'm Manisha Natarajan, and today we decode two relatively new forms of investing in commercial real estate in India: REITs, or real estate investment trust, and fractional ownership of commercial properties. We will evaluate these investments on four simple parameters of any investment, which is liquidity, safety, quality of assets or buildings, and the returns you can expect. Joining me on the show to navigate these important basics are Vikash Kadloya. He's Deputy CEO of Embassy Office Parks. Embassy Office Parks was the first REIT to be listed in India. We also have with us Shiv Parekh, founder of HBITS. HBITS has 5 investments in Mumbai commercial real estate. Sameer Jasuja, founder and managing director of PropEquity, armed with some data to support each of the arguments made by our participants. All right. Recently, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, amended real estate investment trust regulations to make them more accessible for retail investors. Now, the minimum application amount in a REIT, which was earlier prescribed, was 50,000 rupees. That has now been reduced to 10,000 to 15,000 rupees. And the trading lot size of REITs has been reduced from 200 units to 1 unit, making it quite inexpensive. Vikash, Embassy Office Parks has also announced that its trading unit is now going to be 1. Can you just help our audience understand what a REIT is and how will this SEBI move be helpful?
Sure, Manisha. First of all, thank you for having me over the show. It's always a pleasure to be here. So, the recent announcement by SEBI on reducing the trading lot size 1:1 is a fantastic move, and we applaud the regulator. Basically, in a sense, what it means is that a retail investor can go and access and participate in the commercial real estate growth story in India by simply purchasing 1 unit of the stock of the REIT, let's say in our case, the Embassy REIT, by investing as little as 360 rupees based on today's stock price. So what it means is that it is far more accessible. There is no minimum lockup requirements that the regulator has. And basically, what REIT does is it is a real estate investment trust. It owns underlying properties which are leased basis long-term leases to occupiers, high-quality occupiers. We collect rentals from them and return it back to the investors in the form of regular quarterly distributions, which continue to grow over a period of time. So we think it's a fantastic move, and it makes REITs and the commercial real estate participation in that much more accessible to retail investors.
Vikash, so liquidity is taken care of. I mean, as little as 360 rupees, you just buy it from National Stock Exchange or Bombay Stock Exchange. How do you ensure safety, and what is the quality of assets where you collect rent and then distribute them as dividends?
Sure. So, of course, the liquidity is taken care of. And because of the ability of retail investors to participate and the increased trading volumes, there's also better price discovery. So that's one, Manisha. But, to your point on what about safety, I think the market regulator in its wisdom has introduced a lot of safeguards which work very well from a retail investor perspective, right? I can talk about the 80-20 regulation where SEBI requires that 80% of the value of the REIT needs to be an income producing asset, which is pretty good from a retail investor perspective because it significantly de-risks any kind of development risk that they would be taking. The regulator requires that at least 90% of the distributions every 6 months need to be given back to investors in the form of dividends or other distribution forms. So again, very good. It helps investors to get the regular predictable cash flows. The regulator has also instituted a lot of related party safeguards in the regulation. And all in all, I would say, along with the trading lots, the safeguards that SEBI has built in makes it a perfect investment from a retail investor perspective. And definitely, it helps the retail investor to participate in the commercial real estate growth story and also target those total return that we often speak about, which is basically the growing dividends as well as the capital appreciation potential through the stock price uptick.
We'll come to the returns a little bit later. I'm going to go to Shiv Parekh now. Shiv, there's been a sudden surge of companies entering into the fray for fractional ownership, offering investors an option to own high-value commercial buildings. Can you explain how that works? It's very, very different from a REIT, isn't it?
Yeah, firstly, thanks, Manisha, for having me on the show. So to explain it in a simple way, I'd say a REIT is basically a mutual fund to what we are, basically a stock. So investors are able to pick and choose and create their portfolio. So the way it works is that we'll pick specific grade A assets and list them on our platform and our website. And again, the underlying asset is similar. These are grade A commercial assets with grade A tenants that have long-term leases. But investors can pick and choose which assets they want to participate on. So for instance, an investor wants to invest in an asset in, say, Andheri in Mumbai because he's from the area, then he can choose that asset and not invest in something in, say, a Bangalore or an NCR. So investors can pick and choose and create their portfolio through fractional ownership. So that's a way in which we are different to a REIT. And that's kind of the underlying difference between fractional ownership, where the investor can curate his selection of assets.
Right. Shiv, now take us through the other three important categories, which is liquidity. What is the minimum amount? So REIT is now a single unit you can buy and sell, or just go and subscribe to an IPO if there is a new IPO. How much do you need to buy into a fractional investment? How much money do you need?
Yeah, so currently we're at a higher ticket size than a REIT. We're at a 25 lakh minimum ticket size. Our long-term goal is to reduce that, but currently we're at 25 lakh. In terms of liquidity as well, we wouldn't say we are as liquid as a stock market where you list today and you're able to sell tomorrow. But within a 30 to 60-day period, you are able to exit. So it's more liquid than, say, owning a residential apartment on your own.
Can I exit any time? So that's something which I need to understand. Can I exit any time? If I invest today, can I exit in 3 months? And what value will I get? How do you decide on that value?
So again, it's a market-driven value. We as a platform already have 15,000 plus registered users on our platform. So as soon as you list on the platform, you'll get these users being able to see the opportunity that you've listed once you do want to exit. At the same time, though, we do recommend that you stay for over a 3-year time horizon, because generally commercial real estate is a long-term investment. And along with that, we recommend you take the advantage of long-term capital gains as opposed to short-term capital gains. So we would like our investors to stay for a longer time horizon. But yes, you do have the ability to list on our platform or through your own private network, sell your share as well.
And Shiv, finally, what is the safety? Because, REIT is fully regulated by SEBI. Fractional ownership companies basically don't have any kind of regulatory body looking at the interest of an investor. So how do you ensure safety?
So there are a few ways that we do ensure safety. But just to first add that we are a RERA registered company. And over and above that, compared to any other sort of investment, we make all the disclosures upfront. So the price you're paying for the asset is known upfront. So we don't really ever touch your funds. The funds that come in go into an SPV or a special purpose vehicle that owns the asset. We never touch that. That goes through escrow. The title due diligence of that property is done by a tier 1 law firm. In our case, we work with Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas. And all the documents and transparency is provided upfront to the investor. So for example, your leave and license agreement, your title report, all the prior approvals that the building has required, right. All of that is upfront, and it's up for the investor to make his or her own decision to invest.
All right, let me bring in now the independent expert, Sameer. So there is REIT, and then there are fractional ownerships of commercial and office real estate. Shiv has said that one is a mutual fund and another one is a stock. Can you rate these two for us on all the parameters we've spoken about, which is safety, liquidity, and of course quality of assets? I'm going to not touch returns right now. I will come to that a little bit later.
You see, Manisha, the fact that when you're buying into a REIT, there is liquidity immediately available to you. There is a return that is available to you in form of a rental return. And then there are the stock market risks. So we all know that stock markets don't run on fundamentals alone. They also run on psychology and liquidity in the markets. So there is that little bit of risk with the REIT with respect to capital appreciation because it's become from a real estate asset to a stock. And stocks can go up and down and can affect the return, overall return of the investor. Whereas when you're doing fractional buying, you're just buying into an asset which is leased. But there is a risk that if the tenant vacates for any reason after 3 years, usually typically tenants give a 3-year lock-in period. After that, if a new tenant doesn't come into the premises, the value can drop suddenly or not drop, but can create illiquidity and can create a zero return situation, which is not there in a REIT format because the rental return is there. As far as the security is concerned, both have underlying assets. It's easier to exit a REIT. It is slightly difficult to exit a fractional asset because you're dependent on all the shareholders in that fractional asset to exit the property, or you have to wait for a new buyer to buy your share of that property. I think these are the major differences. We're not talking about returns right now, so I won't get into that subject as such.
Quality of assets, Samir? I mean, both say that they are grade A investments, right? But one is institutional and one is more in the category of strata investments.
Right. So clearly, REITs are institutional players, developers who have built institutional assets and are not looking to exit them without forming a REIT structure. So they are much better assets considered compared to strata assets, which are typically where the fractional ownership people get the opportunity to buy into commercial real estate. Typically, large developers who want to create a REIT structure do not sell those assets, and that's a single owner-owned asset which many tenants prefer and pay a higher rent to those assets compared to standalone assets which are strata-owned, and there the quality of maintenance and management is also slightly more at risk compared to the REIT-owned assets.
So this is the data which I've got from Prop Equity, and if I'm just looking at an average per square foot leasing rents on floor plates of 10 to 25,000 square feet. Bengaluru institutional owned are at 78 rupees per square feet, strata owned at 57 rupees per square feet. In Gurgaon, 107 rupees per square feet, strata owned at 74 rupees per square feet. And Mumbai as a whole, if you take the average, of course there's a lot of variation, is 167 rupees per square feet for institutional owned, and strata owned is 143 rupees per square feet. Vikash, I'm going to come to you. So yes, I mean, SEBI ensures a lot of safety, there is higher liquidity, and the quality of assets also, as Samir says, is probably much higher or higher than what is owned in fractional. What are the kind of returns? Because what fractional ownership, or at least the company says that we offer you much higher returns than what REITs can offer you. Our returns will be between 15 and 18%.
Yeah, sure, Manisha. Just one point before that, we spoke about the quality of assets, but the one thing I wanted to kind of highlight, which REIT really distinguishes itself, is the quality of occupiers, right? The large scale, high technology companies, whether it's the banks and financial institutions, these large global companies are coming to India to access talent, and they are looking for those large scale business ecosystems to cater to the hiring needs, attract the best talent, and act as magnets. So I think that is one place where we really, with the asset quality that we have, we can attract those large occupiers who continue to grow in India. We've heard about the record deal wins, we've heard about the record hiring, and that will translate into more demand.
What are the kind of occupiers you have?
Yeah, so just to give you an example, we have an occupier base of over 200 global companies, many of them Fortune 500 companies. For example, right now we are doing a build to suit of about 1.1 million square feet for JP Morgan. JP Morgan, as we all know, is a really blue chip banking financial services client. We have many other technology companies really doing high-end product development work, or whether it is underwriting of insurance, whether it is taking care of the global logistics. The kind of work that they do is amazing. And why they are in India is not because of the savings. They are in India to access the talent, and that is one key differentiator. Having a large scale asset base, having those total business ecosystem kind of product offering helps us to attract those occupiers. You mentioned about the rents, and that there's no surprise that the rents that we are able to command is much higher simply because of what we are able to offer to these occupiers. The quality occupiers provide growth, and I link it to your question now on the returns.
I'll interrupt you here. We're going to take a quick short break because returns is an important discussion and a slightly longer one. We'll come back and continue to talk about REITs, fractional ownership, the other options you have of investing in commercial and large office buildings. Welcome back to the Property Show. We are decoding REIT and fractional ownership models of investing in commercial and office real estate of India. We've already spoken about safety, liquidity and quality of assets. Now we're going to talk about returns. Bikash, I asked you that question, but we couldn't get an answer. What are the kind of returns that you do target for an investor?
Sure, Manisha. So, let me give you some facts, right? We listed in April 2019, and since listing till date, we have distributed over 3,700 crores to our investors, probably more than all the other real estate listed companies put together in the same period. And our distribution payout ratio was a full 100%. Again, on a total return basis, if you factor the stock price appreciation, which reflect the underlying growth fundamentals, we have returned 35% over the last 2 years or 8 quarters. So it's been a decent run, despite the fact that we have seen the full impact of the COVID pandemic over the last 1 year as we continue our business. Now, coming to returns, the way we look at it is a REIT is a total return story. One, of course, we have the regular, predictable and growing cash flows through the rentals that we receive on existing properties, which we distribute every quarter to our investors. But we also have multiple growth levers, which helps in capital appreciation and the stock price uptick. Now, these levers are real and we have been able to consistently deliver on them. Let me kind of break it down into 2 or 3 items. One, of course, the contracted escalations which are embedded in the lease contracts, which is the 15% escalation once every 3 years. Mm-hmm. So that's something that helps us grow our operating income and helps the investors. 2, of course, is the mark to market. So the in place or the existing rents on our leases, because they are long tenured, they fall below market. And as and when these leases come up for renewal, we are able to enhance the rents. And again, that helps us to increase our revenues and distributions. The third lever that we have is the under construction component, where these are all expansions of our existing assets, existing properties. And as the customers continue to grow with us and continue to expand, we are able to increase our operating area and let out these spaces to the customers as they expand and increase our revenue. So all of this put together, and also the inorganic growth opportunity in terms of acquisitions, given we have a very robust balance sheet, means that over a period of time, from whether it's a millennial to a senior citizen, REIT is a very safe product for investors from a total return long-term story perspective. Right?
Okay. That's very interesting. So there is a dividend component, and of course, as your rents go up, you mark to market your rental yields. And of course, you also bring in new assets into the REIT. There is that extra capital appreciation you can look at. Let me ask now Shiv. Shiv, 15 to 18%. I've looked at your portfolio, and that is a kind of return that you have told your investors they are likely to get. How will you get that? Will you be able to generate those kind of returns?
So those are our target returns, and it varies from asset to asset. And so, like for instance, the asset that we recently closed, again, it's a grade A tenant. ICICI Bank is the tenant. Can't get better than that. What we look at is the rental yield, and then we look at and you get 8 to 9% rental yield, and then we look at the capital value that we enter at to really see if there's an appreciation potential. So the capital value, for instance, in this asset, we acquired it at 11,661 rupees per square feet. And within that same building, which is in Andheri, you have assets that are trading at 15 to 16,000 rupees per square feet. So that's kind of the real benefit of this model, right? Is that we are able to put on this platform assets that we believe are kind of well-priced assets. And then at the end of the day, it's up for the investor, for us to show the investor that, again, this is why it's a good investment opportunity. So for instance, in this asset, there's already a 4,000 rupees per square feet delta on the purchase price of the asset, and that enables us to get significant capital appreciation. So in this asset, for instance, we do expect
the IRR so far. I mean,
sorry,
you said that 15 to 18% is the target IRR. What is the kind of IRR you've earned so far?
So as of now, we're making our monthly rental payouts, which is 8 to 9% a year. The remaining is realized in capital appreciation when the investor sells his or her own share, or we sell the whole asset. Okay. And that for this asset, for instance, we're expecting 7.5%.
7.5%. All right, Sameer. So they are not actually for the same lot of investors, these products. REITs is a product which anybody can buy, isn't it? And fractional ownership and investing in real estate is, of course, HNI game or high net worth investors because it's a ticket size of 25 lakhs and above. But your final view on, between these two products, is there one that you prefer over the other and why?
So I would go with the REIT model. It's safer, it's more liquid, there is security there, and there are certain underlying assets which still need to be developed over there, which provide a higher IRR opportunity, and the sheer fact that the liquidity is there and higher rental yields are there. So REIT scores over fractional ownership. Fractional ownership in that respect is a little bit risky. You have to buy assets at the market price, and given the current pandemic, smaller assets, when they are getting vacated, they are finding it difficult to find new tenants at the same rates. So I would stick with REITs in the overall choosing of the two asset classes.
And of course, for HNIs and high net worth investors, they can opt for either, but for a retail investor, REITs are the way to go. We've completely run out of time, but thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me today and decoding REITs and fractional ownership. Stock markets are at an all-time high and people are looking at other avenues of putting their money into. So, well, we've just decoded a whole new asset class and investment class for them. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the session.